Hi everyone, welcome to the Villa Park podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by the legend that is Martin. And we've got some sad news to start the show because this is going to be Martin's last pod with us for a bit as he goes on to his own coaching career in football. So, Mark, it's going to be a bit sad, mate. Tell us a little about what you're going to be doing.
I've recently taken up a few coaching roles with my local club called Park Villa. So there's the irony, everything Villa related somehow. But I'm hoping to get a few badges and really want to knuckle down on them. So last night for a while, it's not a goodbye, it's more of a see you later.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. A bit like Aston Villa and having any players in the England squad. It's going to happen at some point soon. Well, listen, thanks to everyone for joining us. We're going to have a chat through all our thoughts on the Nottingham Forest game coming up on Monday night. We'll hopefully have Rich S on as well shortly. I think he's talking at the moment on a Forest podcast. So nice to know where his priorities are. But yeah, it's going to be quite a crunch time, I think, mate. Don't you think so, Mark? This game coming up.
Yeah, but like I say, and it's always the biggest cliche with Aston Villa. Like whatever in favour of us really isn't in favour of us. Yeah, sure, Nottingham Forest are getting bet nearly every week, but look at Bournemouth. Look how bad they are. I know they won a few games, but we still lost to them. It wouldn't surprise me if we lost to Forest, but at the same time, I'd love to win because if we win, we go above Liverpool. And
is that a good thing? I mean,
the way I'm looking at it, right? People are kind of going, "Oh, Villa's in a shambles," but then we're above Liverpool. If we win on Monday, and they go, United's in a shambles, but they're still above Liverpool. Liverpool are in the worst spot they can think of. How are you, Rich?
I am good. Just being on the Door on Tour Nottingham Forest channel, so we might be getting a few of them over in a second. A few Forest fans over.
Good. Yeah, we were just literally saying. Obviously, it's a big game. It's a big game coming up on Monday night. What are your thoughts on it? How you feel about the game, Rich?
It is a massive game, first of all, and it's a real. We keep saying this. It's like one of those crossroads games. We keep saying it, but if we win tomorrow, it becomes 8 points from the last 4 games. It kind of means that that shutting up shop, back to basics, whatever we want to call it. Especially if we get a decent win tomorrow, is kind of vindicated in terms of the recent form. But if we get beat, then it's back to absolute pressure on Gerrard, and just complete waste of what we've done over the last 3 games. So yeah, it's a real pressure game. I am quite confident that we'll get the result. But yeah, it's a huge game.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be confident because as Forest are bottom of the pile, and they've not been in the Premier League since the dawn of time. And obviously, I'm going to say this now, but I'm sure Forest will be probably thinking not a bad team to play against Villa with how
absolutely.
Not being negative there, but just factual. I did see a stat the other day that apparently Villa have got more promoted teams have beaten Aston Villa basically than any other team basically. However, that stat's worked out, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, it's we seem to be winning the records for all of these statistics at the moment that are negative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still I'm still positive for the game tomorrow, and yeah, if we get a good result, like Martin's, I think I caught you saying, we go into the top 10. We're kind of looking up the table rather than down, and then you're going into a Chelsea game with a lot more confidence, and more, especially if a Watkins scores or a Coutinho scores or something like that. You're going into that game with a bit more fresh impetus rather than kind of the dour sort of turgid football that we've been served up over the last few weeks, certainly.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm sure we can get into the depths of sort of despair in terms of the repercussions of what might happen a bit later on in the pod. But just to try and pick through some of the bits, Martin, how do you think this man, Mr. Cash, how do you think he'll be feeling about returning to his former club where he obviously made his name?
Yeah, I think it would be an emotional one for him. Somewhere where there was a club that really gave him a chance when I think he was a centre midfielder. Wasn't really working out for him there, and I think it was a Portuguese manager at the time, or someone who had just left, put him into right back, and he flourished, and he was like the best right back in the league. And that's when, even funny enough, he even said that in the podcast there with Ben Foster, didn't he? Like he says, as soon as Villa called, that was it. I wanted to go to Villa because he had no links with Villa at all or anything like that. It was all Fulham and Brentford, but like he said, once Villa called, that was it. He was going. So I think it'd be an emotional form. I don't think he'll get to his head. He'll probably still do his job. He's very professional, what he does. He's back to full fitness. He's got a full week in training. And I hope he does start because it's a position there we're badly going to need because we have such an injury crisis at the back and it's making me nervous.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping with your, which we mentioned, obviously, Mark's impending move to coaching full time, pretty much. Obviously, priority's been a bit split with the pod, but we might need some of your proteges soon if this, particularly this fullback crisis continues.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry, Martin.
Yeah, well, if I'm the next person that Sam wants to be calling out of the football club, by all means, I'll let him say it and I'll call him out in an interview and all that crap. But
mate, I was going to say, I think your coaching career will be doing pretty well if Sam's calling you out of the job. I don't think he's I don't think he'll be too bothered if you take on a big job one day. So yeah.
No, it's all good at the minute. So
yeah. Interestingly as well with this game, I don't know if you've seen any of the stats are out there, but the first one to talk about is the last time that Villa and Forest met was obviously the Championship season 2019. We won 3-1 away. I don't know if you remember that McGinn score. Remember old McGinn? Remember McGinn when he used to bang in 20 yarders all the time? 2 cracking goals. If you remember the first one, he kind of cut back on the left back and then smashed it in near post. And then I think his second one, he sort of pinged it from about 20, 25 yards out for a 3-1 win. And I mean, what would we give for a John McGinn like that now in the Premier League?
Oh, honestly, it's I don't know when the last time he scored was, but yeah, it'd be fantastic to see that marauding John McGinn again. And I know his role's slightly changed now, but yeah, it would just be great to kind of to see that McGinn, having shots again, getting in the opposition box. It's certainly a little bit like what he does against what he does for Scotland. I don't there's part of me that doesn't understand. It's part of me that understands why he doesn't do it for Villa because he's in a slightly different role, and we've covered that before. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he can't get himself into areas. It doesn't mean he can't get himself into the box at certain times. And I just think Villa need to take a few more risks now. Like, if we're talking about this kind of back to basics and this kind of formation changing and sort of the defense now becoming more solid, then we need to kind of see this team take a few more risks now. And someone like John McGinn taking shots from outside the box would really help that. So yeah, I'd love to see it come back, to be honest.
I kind of almost wonder whether it was sort of looking back with rose-tinted specs with how I felt about McGinn. I don't know if the Villa fans feel the same. I don't know about you, Mark, but because obviously it's been so long since we've seen that player. Is anyone I saw the highlights of the last time we played Forest and saw that, and I just thought, come on, like this is the kind of guy that we need. And now we've got obviously Kamara's in the injury, but now we've got options behind the midfielders in terms of that base of that midfield in Dendoncker in Louise. There's no reason why if McGinn's in the team, he can't be pushing forward a bit more, doing what he does best. We've seen it for Villa in the past. We've seen it for Scotland. I think it'd be, I think it would be an unbelievable asset to our team if we've got more goals from midfield. I know Ramsey got a few last year, but it's something we're really lacking, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Go on, no. Sorry, thanks, Rich. No, yeah, of course, because I think see there's me doing the Steven Gerrard. Yeah, of course. But no, I think like it's a tough one. Like, no, I think when Kamara was signed, I think that was the purpose for John McGinn to be pushing forward a bit more and doing that a little bit more. But I don't know what it is with him at Villa. I just think the role he has that set for him is to be more defensive minded, which is not the McGinn we know, the McGinn we love. But we see it for Scotland, and we're kind of like, where's that for Villa? But people don't understand that, or some people don't understand that. You know, he's has a different role to Villa than what's in Scotland. You know, if we pushed him forward, I'm sure he'd be flying high again. And we'd be like, yeah, this is the John McGinn we love. But then all of a sudden, if he goes back to that defensive role, it's nearly back to square one thinking, why is John McGinn doing this? And we're slating him for a role that he's not so good at it. And I'm not afraid to say it. He's not good at that role. He's better at what he does. And if something's not broken, you don't fix it. So I don't know what it is with Villa trying to make him play a different role and something that we know, that we see he's not particularly good at.
Yeah. I think Gary's has sort of summed it up a little bit here. Gerrard is overcomplicating everything. Would rather us be like Keegan at Newcastle, just score more than the other team. Eventually, the lack of goals will cost us. But yeah, it does feel like a little bit of an overcomplication at the minute. I know we're saying like it's back to basics football, but certainly going forwards, there seems to be that. I know you probably feel this as well, Kev. It seems to be like the shackles are on a few of the players that are in the forward positions.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think there was. If you remember when we came up with Dean Smith, he was very much like, we're going to be swashbuckling, we're going to go at everybody, and that was something he put the brakes on quite quickly after a month or two when we worked very well. So I think you've got to be pragmatic to a point, but there's mind-numbingly boring, and there's crazy haphazard, and there's bits in between where you'd hope a modern progressive football team could have a decent, solid defence, have a robust but also creative midfield, and have strikers that look like they might score once every 2 or 3 years. It was an interesting comment, actually. Going back to obviously the last time we played Forest, four goals in that game. Darren said, "I'll be happy if our strikers scored." Well, if you remember, I was at the game. I was at the home game the last time we played Forest, and for those who don't remember, it was 5-5. Quick story, because I like a quick story in this pod. I'm not.
Are you sure it's quick?
Yeah, it is quick. I'm not a prolific gambler. I don't support gambling, so I want to make that clear. But I thought I'll have a little flutter on foot on the Forest game. As I was walking to my seat, I tried to log into my betting app. By the time I'd logged in, we were 2-0 down. I mean, it was like that was the measure of what the night was going to be. It was 3-3 after half an hour. And talking, I'd love it if our strikers scored. Tammy Abraham scored 4 goals that night in that game.
He did.
Actually, yeah, shit.
Yeah, so I mean, I know the Championship, right? But Forest were in the Championship a decent team. I think Joe Lolly also got 4 assists in that game and an absolute screamer. Yeah, so it was like
Lewis Graben scored 2.
Lewis Graben didn't he? Got the equaliser at the end, didn't he? We were literally never ahead at any point until 5-4 when El Ghazi scored. Never up. Wingers can score, and then all of a sudden they pegged us back. But yeah, the strikers obviously is a big topic, isn't it, at the moment for us? And in terms of obviously this game coming up, but a lot of the recent conversations have been about our ability, or shall I call it inability, to score. What do you think about our striking options for this game, and particularly in terms of this man here, Mr. Cameron Archer? First, mate.
Yeah, no worries. I think we talked quite in length about this on the Leeds pod that we did the other day and after the game, and I thought we had a really good chat about it. I certainly think he deserves minutes. Whether he deserves to play from the start at the moment, that I think that's I personally wouldn't start him. I think Gerrard said that he's had a little injury, so he's getting back to full fitness. So that might have been why he wasn't involved or didn't come on against Leeds. But look, there's absolutely, he's not going to do any worse than the current strikers that we've got at the moment, and he offers something different. He's quick in behind, and he will finish a chance when it's presented to him in the box, or he will at least get it on target with not straight at the goalkeeper. So yeah. So for me, you've got to give these guys a chance, and if even if it just puts pressure on a Watkins or on a Danny Ings to step up and shape up or ship out, then it's got to be worth worth doing. So, yeah, for me, I wouldn't start him, but he certainly deserves some minutes. Absolutely.
Would you reckon, Martin?
Yeah, no, I think he deserved minutes. I think I think I seen that this was only his second full week he completed the training since the season started. So, but obviously that injury was kind of kept on a hush hush. So a lot of people didn't know he was out injured. So you can imagine the complaints: why isn't Archer playing? Why isn't Archer playing? And nothing was said about an injury or nothing. So when it was all found out, it was kind of like, oh, so that's what happened. So I think this would be the perfect game for him to get minutes if it was to happen. You know, team bottom of the league, confidence is not high for them. And like Rich, I'm in agreement with him. I wouldn't start him against Forest. If I was going to play him, I'd probably play him in the 75th, 70th minute, 20, 15 minutes, something just to get a little bit of match fitness back into his system and see if he does then. If he does well, and hopefully he'll get more minutes. Probably not against Chelsea. Club of that size, you don't tend to see young players getting game time there. But against bottom half table teams, you might see him picking up minutes here and there. And if he keeps the pressure on Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins, they're showing he takes his chances better. Then Watkins and Danny Ings nearly have to turn up, or one of them will be shipped in the summer if he has a good season, if he breaks out.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiments about the fact I don't think he'd start. I mean, I actually personally, in a few comments on here, saying sort of pro and against, but I don't think if you were ever going to start a player who's a confident striker against a team that are effectively, you know, not a great team for the Premier League, then it's probably you'd probably rather do that than start him against Chelsea away, for example. But I appreciate he's not playing many minutes. It was a good comment, I think, he just popped up there, Rich, from Taiwan, which is absolutely, I reckon Archer's looking at it and thinking, I mean, Big Tim's absolute brilliant.
Bossing it, innit? He bossed it on Friday night, yeah.
Yeah, that amazing run into the box.
Unbelievable. I seen the QPR fan goes, Tim, that's the tweet.
Yeah, love it. And Ramsey's doing well at Norwich too, as Tywin said. So
that one's a little bit under the radar because of Tim. A lot of people are raving about Tim and nearly forgetting about young Aaron Ramsey at Norwich.
Mm-hmm. We've got some talent there. Yeah, it was good to see as well. I'm delighted for him. Good old Carney. Absolutely smashed his 4 minutes the other day, Jay. I totally agree. He's been amazing there. Is it 9 assists and 2 goals now for Carney since he moved there? Slightly sarcastic.
On that, just from Jay, he did put this one up that last time we faced Forest in the Premier League, we won 2-0 with goals from Mark Draper and Gareth Barry.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's a little throwback for you.
Yeah. Just talking about this game, just to cover up a couple of bits and bobs off, but just a quick little injury assessment, fitness update. So, Cash he's back in training now, obviously, which is good news. Chambers, I think Chambers is going to be continuing, probably not ready for a start as he Chambers and Bailey. Well, what do you think about Bailey? Fit or not? Do you think it's time to move him out of the team?
He's sometimes he's made out of glass, isn't he? Like when he gets going, he's good, but then once you give him a touch, he's broken. It's real injury prone with him at the minute. But like he's been doing well. I don't think anyone can have any complaints with his performances so far. Maybe a game or two he wasn't great, but I think overall he hasn't been too bad. But you were kind of waiting on when is he getting injured. I think everyone was going to ask that question. I don't know what you lads think, but that was my thing of it. He's doing well, but when is he going to get injured?
He's one of those players, isn't he, that you do think it's just round the corner. Absolutely. Yeah. I almost feel like about him, like maybe not quite as bad, but remember Michael Owen from sort of 25 years old onwards. I just felt anytime he went for the ball, he was going to, I mean, he even spoke about himself, didn't he? Owen, that he felt his hamstrings were going to go at any point. I'm not suggesting Bailey's as bad as that, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the player that we were sold the dream of. And I know there's been a lot of talk about it, and we spoke about it a lot on the other night as well, but I make it clear, I do not think that Bertrand Traore or Amel Ghazi are the answer for Aston Villa with the ambitions that they've got right now. But I also do not think if we started any of our games this season and had Al Ghazi or Traore in for Bailey, that we'd be any worse off. I don't think we would be. No, and I don't know anyone who can argue that point from a perspective of goal threat from those two that have now departed, but also from the fact of just how I can't think of much Bailey's done. He scored Obviously, a good goal against Man City. His touch seems off. I don't see the pace that I thought he had. I don't see many tricks. He seems to cut back in, swing a good crossing every now and then. But this player I thought people were going to fear, that was tearing at the Bundesliga. I don't know where it is.
I think it's the physicality of this league, because the Bundesliga is more tactical. They play football, they move it around, and where in the Premier League they do that, but there's the physicality side to it as well. So some players like him aren't adjusted to that, so it's probably going to take him time to do that.
I agree. He's definitely struggling. Yeah, he's definitely struggling. He's got against Leeds, the effort was there, the work rate was there, but whenever he got the ball and his touch might have been slightly off, like you said, Kev, he was then getting pushed off the ball way too easily. And like I think Martin says there, technically he seems very good if you give him a bit of space, but as soon as the pressure's put on him, as soon as a bit of physicality is put on him, he just loses that touch straight away. So yeah, for me, I would. Well, we'll get into the your guys starting 11 soon, but I don't think either Bailey nor Buendia start tomorrow.
Okay.
Well,
I would potentially, think Buendia. Buendia deserves to start over Bailey, but I don't think either of them start tomorrow.
Well, let's go. Martin first. Martin, do you want to talk us through your 11 for tomorrow?
Yeah, I've gone with the I actually meant to say Buendia. I sent in the wrong one. Great start for last night. But that should be Buendia there on the right side, and then everything else kind of picks itself with the way Gerrard is. He's so predictable. I hate to say it, but Young will slot in left back with nobody. I kind of wish we kept Ben Kresne, why send the left back on loan when if we had an injury crisis, we could have had a young player there to step up and see if he took his mark. And then when Matty Cash got injured, I kind of thought we should have kept Kessler Hayden then, because then we would have had two young players full of energy and ready to go, and probably would have took their chance, or they might have taken their chances. But I think that team really picked itself. I'd like to see Buendia start with Coutinho in behind Watkins, but then again, Watkins sometimes he's just a big waster, isn't he? Like I hate to say it, but like 1 year he was great, and now the last a year and a half, he's been an absolute waster. The amount of one-on-ones this fella misses is absolutely criminal. If I had €1 for every one-on-one he's missed, I'd be a millionaire.
Yep.
Like, it's just so bad. I mean, Danny Ings scored more one-on-ones. I know he misses a few. They all missed them, don't get me wrong, but you're missing that much. You're a Premier League striker. You cost 35 million with 40 add-ons, and you're missing all the one-on-ones. Like, how do you do it? Like, that's just criminal. And I think he's a good striker. I'm not gonna deny it. He's a great striker. He holds the ball up really well. His link-up play is very good. But when you put him one-on-one, he seems to just shit the togs and just, I don't know what it is. Like, against Leeds, the amount of one-on-ones he had, and it was just criminal. Meslier had a great game, and he probably shouldn't have. Like, he should have at least scored one or two of them. But then McGinn and Ramsey, they'll probably play ahead of Louise. That's predictable now due to the injury crisis we have in midfield as well. And then Mings and Konza, the standard, because I don't think Chambers was going to get in. Bednarak, probably would have seen him go in. If there is going to be a slight change in the starting team, probably Bednarak in with Mings, and Konza will go in right back if Cash is not deemed fit to play the game.
Cool. Cheers, Mark. Well, I'll pop mine up. So I had the same back four as you. I did toy with Bednarak as well, but I thought that if Konza was fit, I thought he'd probably stick the team. I did think, was he going to go for 5 at the back? He'd mentioned it, but no, I've actually, the formation there I've put on there is what I would probably do actually. I'd play 2 up top, so I'd have a 4-1-3-2. I can't see him dropping Watkins, particularly the physicality of an away game, in terms of local derby. But I do think he might think about making, it's not working right now. We're not scoring enough goals. Does he need to add another striker to that? So I feel that if he's going to do that, he'll probably add Ings to it. And then I've also put Buendia in for Bailey. So it's Cash, Konza, Mings, Young at the back, Louise at the base of midfield, Ramsey, Coutinho, Buendia behind Watkins and Ings. So What do you guys make of that team? What do you think? Reckon that, Rich? What do you fancy that?
Yeah, I'll just quickly share mine because I don't disagree with that. I think Ings and Watkins will play. I think that he's hinted at this 5 at the back. So if I can just quickly share mine, I'll jump in there. So I've gone Martinez in goal. I think Bednarek didn't impress, and I think he's probably away from home at Forest solid.
Did you not say that either Coutinho or Buendia would start?
No, I said Bailey. Neither Bailey or Buendia would start.
Oh, sorry,
I put Coutinho behind Ings and Watkins, Young left wing back, Cash right wing back, Bednarek, Mings, Konsa, Louise McGinn, Coutinho behind Ings and Watkins.
Yeah.
That's I think what he'll go with. So it's not too dissimilar to what you said, Kev. I just think he might sacrifice Ramsey and go 3-5-2.
Yeah. I mean, I just think with Ramsey's progressive running, I think there's a comment earlier someone put about we're not that brave since Jack left. I think absolutely Ramsey is, Ramsey's the one who seems to be the one that runs with the ball. Weirdly, in terms of confidence, we talked about his confidence earlier on about a few of our players. I did think the Bednarek looked really confident when he started. I wasn't sure whether that might stick in the manager's mind.
Yeah, I didn't think he looked too bad now, even though I slated him a lot. But he did look all right. But then again, that's a cameo. You have to see what he does if he starts this game. So
100%.
Player on one cameo. We're judging, well, in fairness, we're judging Wendy on the amount of cameos he does. That's because we're seeing it over and over again. But with Bednarek, it's one cameo. Yeah, it was good. That doesn't mean he's going to be good the next game.
No.
Yeah.
Got quite a lot of comments in, boys. I'll just put them up and we'll read some of them out. So really random reviews. I don't know. Ramsey's brave. I think he always tries to carry the ball forward. I think you mentioned that, Kev. Buendia has to start, but Stephen Joe will keep using him as a weapon off the bench. He's hinted at that as well, hasn't he? Whereby he said things like that, hasn't he? Where at the moment he's done impact off the bench, but he hasn't really had an impact from starting.
I do agree with that, in fairness now. Like when Villa has started, it seems like he's really slow to start off, where when he comes on, he knows what game he's going into. He knows the weakness, where to point out. So I do agree with that statement, but at the same time, I still want to see him start, because if he starts repetitively in games, he'll know what to do and know what way to play them.
Yeah. This comment here, Rich, can I just make... I think it's pronounced Tiwan. Can you just put in the comments if that's right? Because I saw your comment earlier. So sorry about that.
I thought it was Taiwan.
No,
Tiwan.
I already misgendered Tiwan before. She tell me she was female, and now we've been saying the name wrong for ages. So if you can tell me if that's the right way to say it, Tiwan, that'd be great. But yeah, I think it's a solid point there. No way Watkins can start tomorrow with the game he had against Leeds, work rate or not. I wouldn't disagree with that, but I think Stevie G maybe will.
Yeah, I think he will. Jay said he'll start Ings, give him free chance and he'll score. Deontay, Stevie G's probable starting 11 is Martinez for him, Cash, Konsa, Mings and Young, Louise McGinn, Ramsey, Coutinho, Watkins and Ings.
Is it?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. Gary, just hope we pick up, as I won't enjoy watching the World Cup if we're in the relegation zone.
I'm not watching that World Cup. I don't care.
Aaron's back. You can read that, Kev.
Guys, I'll come on after the match tomorrow, but mark my words, we will not win Forest for two reasons. One is that the so-called manager of ours who can't even count to 10, and two, the 11 female areas that play. I think Aaron's alluding to the fact that they're maybe not, masculine enough. I'm not sure what the point he's making there, but I think the other point he's making there.
Dendonka, do you think he deserves a start, as Jay thinks?
He hasn't got touched the ball yet, has he?
He had 10 minutes, did he? Against.
I'm sorry to say it, but he didn't touch a ball when he came on, did he?
Unless he's ripping up in training. Would I like to see a more physical defensive midfielder in there? Yeah, absolutely, I would. I think Louise doesn't particularly want to play that role, and he has. I don't think Louise was great against Leeds, but I don't. unless he's ripping it up in training, I don't think he's going to bring Dendoncker in.
I think if he was going to put him in, I think he'd probably play a 4-2-3-1 to have two physical midfielders in there with Dendoncker and Louise. And then you have probably McGinn further up with then Coutinho and Buendia, and then you have Watkins up top if he was going to do it like that.
Yeah, well, I actually thought, was he going to potentially... I could see two ways, really. I thought you might play two in the... if five at the back, keep it solid, try and, if you get a 1-0 win, he's probably happy with that. Maybe play two defensive midfielders. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. If you do either of those and it ends up being a 0-0 draw or you lose 1-0 because you've not been progressive enough against the bottom of the league, and that's why I thought you might go a bit more attacking in terms of the front players. So I'm thinking, does Gerrard know whether to stick or twist? I'm not sure he does. I'm not sure he does at all.
Or we could just do what Forest did and just give our new manager a new deal.
Yeah, well, just on the Forest point, in terms of just some quick stats about them, they've only won one of the past 40 matches against Villa in all competitions. It was a 2-1 home victory in the Championship in February 2017.
Yes.
More currently, from a stat perspective, they've suffered 5 league defeats in a row in a season for the first time since January 2004, and they could lose more than 6 of their opening 9 league fixtures of a league campaign for the first time since 1913 in the second tier. Unless they can manage to get a draw or a win against Aston Villa. But this would also be their club record, Premier League record of 6 consecutive defeats, set from August to September 1992 season, obviously when they went down.
Yes, that's.
Well, they seem to have their fair share of negative stats as well. So
they are there for the taking, aren't they? Let's be clear.
They are 100% there for the taking.
Barry's just put this one up because. Since Jack left, do we have a best player anymore?
No, we don't.
Not really.
He's our best player, but he's a bit inconsistent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the best player profile-wise, but is he really our best player performing?
Not at the moment, no. I was asked this question on the Mr. Dorr, the Forest fans podcast just before, and I said probably Tyrone Mings been our best player this season.
He has been. Yeah,
and it's quite. I don't know whether to be kind of pleased with that or a bit depressed with that, because we should be talking about Bailey, we should be talking about Coutinho, Watkins, Ings, Buendia. We should be talking about these guys being our best players, but they're just not firing at the minute, are they?
Well, I'll tell you how you can tell we're not firing. Our last 8 goals have been scored by 8 different players.
Yeah.
So you can argue that sharing the goals around the team. Or actually, when you think about it, it's just no one standing out, are they?
Yeah.
There's some pretty depressing stats, I think, around both Villa and Forest. So, I mean, I think one team has certainly got the opportunity to really kickstart their season. I know that if I was a Forest fan, and I'm sure Forest fans are out there, they'd probably be feeling pretty confident about this. They've just given Cooper a new contract. So clearly there's a bit of positivity around that. His job is safe, and that might release a bit of the pressure. So, I mean, he might think actually he might play a slightly more, I don't know, progressive attacking brand of football because he knows he's not about to get sacked.
Like, I have a little bit of sympathy for him because they have obviously signed 23 players. So, like, it's not going to be easy to get these players adjusting very quickly, and in the Premier League, no less. So, like, it was a bit like us when we came up, like we were signing players left, right, and centre. Now, I do believe a lot of them players that Forest signed were loan players that they made permanent, and then whoever they brought in. A bit like us, we had loan players, made them permanent, then whoever we brought in. So I kind of have a little bit of sympathy for them because we were kind of in that similar situation, although they've just done it 10 times worse. So if they do go down, it would be the case of the fact that they need to adjust so many players together to try and gel. And then if they come back up, which I do believe they will, I think they've signed good players there. And to come back up, I think they'll stay up the second time around because then they'll know what to expect because they're 2 years down the line then with each other, you know?
They're 23 years in the Championship, was it? I think that if they get relegated this season, it's a very, 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 very competitive league, as we found out, didn't we? Took us our 4th attempt to get back.
Yeah.
So
They'll have that, but they'll have that parachute payment that they get, like
yeah, I know, but I mean, we didn't win.
they'll go straight up with that because of the money that gets pumped into them when they go down.
Yeah, there'll be other teams, whether it's I don't know, a Fulham, whether it's a Southampton, whether it's a Leeds, whether it's a Villa. There'll be other teams in there that'll be competitive. Well, I mean, I think it's time to talk about it. Is it must win? Before we sort of go into that in too much detail, a couple of comments just I guess kind of related to that. In terms of seeing Newcastle and how Newcastle have been lately.
Yeah, mate, I was just about to put that up what Tim said there about hating Gerrard more and more when I see Newcastle, especially their last game. I'm so jealous with the squad we have. We should be top 10. I live in Newcastle and it's horrible. Like it's horrible.
Enough about the city. Let's talk about the football team now.
Hey,
I'm joking. It's a great place up in there.
You just see them like playing with such like vigor and just pace and confidence, and they've got Wilson up front when he's fit. I don't think there's many better forward players than him. You've got even like Almiron's playing really well ever since Grealish took the mick out of him. He started being brilliant. You've got Bruno, who's just phenomenal midfielder. He's everything that Douglas Luiz should be.
Yeah,
I know he's a bit like Michael Jordan, is he? And I took that personally.
Yeah, and you know, St. Maximin's on the bench. St. Maximin's on the bench at the minute, and just you know, Matty Target went there, and we let Matty Target go, and we've got Luca Dean in, and we were like, oh, we've got the better end of the deal, but it doesn't look like we have at the moment. Just everything that Newcastle are doing at the moment is just hitting every note correctly, and everything that we're doing at the moment is just hitting every bum note that you can possibly imagine, and and it just doesn't do Gerrard any favors when he sees what Eddie Howe's done. Admittedly, he was taking over a Steve Bruce team, so we know what happened when Dean Smith took over a Steve Bruce team, and we know what happened when he leaves West Brom, and whoever goes into West Brom will take over a Steve Bruce team. But at the same point, it's really depressing.
If anyone who's watching this or listen to it afterwards knows Jack Grealish, can they ask him to take the piss out of Ollie Watkins, please? Just on a video, just if they could do that. Hoping we get the same reaction.
That's to take the piss out of the whole Aston Villa team.
Yeah, that'd be good. This is one of the things that look. I know any team can kind of do well and you know and kick on, and no one's got a divine right to be successful. But when you think about where Newcastle were and the horrendous start they had let's not forget it was last season when they still looked like they were going to go down around about Christmas time. It's more than just obviously one aspect, isn't it? It's the transfers they brought in, some pretty shrewd signings. And you could argue, would we have been able to compete for some of those signings? I think we probably would have been able to if we wanted to. It's also the coaching, isn't it? It's also the style of football. And I was thinking, actually, when I saw that result yesterday, I would not have seen Aston Villa beating Brentford 5-1. Could have been an off day for Brentford, and I'm sure Thomas Frank thinks it is. But in terms of the way that they play and the attacking style of football, it just feels like poles apart. And it makes me think that it almost highlights a situation of what a club could do if they get a good coach that gets it right. And the Villa hierarchy, back to the point, you know, going into this game tomorrow night, if we lose to Nottingham Forest, do you think that's it for Steven Gerrard, Martin?
If he loses to Forest, get him the fuck out. I've no disrespect to Forest. I really don't mean that in the harshest way possible. But if you have a team that's in the bottom of the league and you're not beating a team in the bottom of the league and you've been poor lately, that's when you should really draw the line and just hang on a minute. This is definitely not working. Get him out. Get someone in who is tactically sound, knows how to get the best out of these players. And pretty much all the names I'm hearing is Pochettino now at the minute. I'm not hearing anybody else. But like if he doesn't beat Forest, I'd get him out because it hasn't been working lately. I know kind of went back to basics and he got a few results and that probably bought him a little bit of time. But if you're losing the Forest, that's where you should really draw the line, lads. For anybody, that should be like, get him out. So, Tim said, how much time do you really think Gerrard has to get it right? It's his time to wind down. I prefer we lose to Forest so he goes even quicker.
What
Bit harsh.
do you reckon, Rich?
No, I think they'll give him. I think they'll give him until the
just for the World Cup.
The World Cup. Yeah, I think they'll give him this round of games. But yeah, I think the pressure will the pressure will be intense. The Villa wouldn't be doing their due diligence if they weren't sounding out potential alternatives at the moment. I don't think Pochettino would come to Villa. I know people are saying the opportunity and all that sort of stuff, but I just don't think we're a big enough club. Our stock is not high in the Premier League. So I just don't think Pochettino would come. But yeah, it's a must win. I think we will win, and yeah, I think we'll be looking up the table rather than down after tomorrow night.
Sorry, Kevin. I'm just going to put this in a little bit of perspective, right? Ancelotti went to Everton. Now, I'm going to say this, right? And I keep saying it. Ancelotti is a 5-time Champions League winner. He's won multiple titles in Italy, England, France, Spain. That's it. I think that's it, right? And he's won everything there is. And he went to Everton. And their stock is not high enough for him to hire. Obviously, they gave him the money. And Pochettino hasn't done near the level of Ancelotti. So I think it's very possible for Pochettino to go to Aston Villa when you look at someone like Ancelotti who went to Everton.
His stock's not low enough. He's just come back from. He's just been at PSG. His stock is not low. He doesn't need to rebuild anything. He doesn't need to do anything.
That's a one-team league.
It's not happening.
Can I just give my take on it for a sec? I think that I hear all the arguments as to why he wouldn't come, based on the fact that Villa is shit, and why the fuck would anybody come? No, sorry, I went into like total brutal honest mode there. Right, we are a disappointing Premier League team, and all of that, and is he likely to get a big job in one of the major leagues? This is why I think he would come, and I might eat my words. It's the Premier League, one, and as Sam and I have talked about before on the podcast, and totally on the same page with it. If you think about all the big jobs in the Premier League, well, I don't see any of those managers being in trouble. We've got an unbelievable project. We just need the right coach driver to take.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to.
But career aspiration wise, he could take Aston Villa to.
He didn't want to go to Newcastle.
Yeah, but come on. No, I don't mean that in a bad way, but there was a lot of people probably at the time thinking about some of the links to Newcastle. And
fairness, a lot of people said no to Newcastle. Gerrard was one of
them. They might not have known what they were getting into, that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not Newcastle.
Believe me, we ain't getting Pochettino. We're not going to get Pochettino. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but we're not fishing in those waters. We're just not. And yeah, fair enough. Ancelotti went to Everton, but he didn't. He lasted a season. So he knew he made the wrong decision. He knew he made the wrong decision. So, yeah.
Watch your space. I honestly think that, and I've clearly got my Villa glasses on here, but look at the stadium plans. Look at all the plans we've got for what we're going to do to that amazing ground as it currently is to be even better. We've got some fantastic players in that squad, and I do think with the South American link, when you've got Luis, you've got obviously Buendia, you've got Coutinho, you've got Martinez. I just think there's some great talent in that squad that a good manager could get the best out of. It's a big project. Obviously with Villa, it's only upwards. I think it's a bit of a no. It's a no-brainer. We're not going to get relegated. I know we might think we're close to the bottom, but we're not going to get relegated. It can only go upwards, and that's why I think it could be an intoxicating opportunity.
Don't get me wrong. I would like Pochettino. I mean, I think we would still hound him out though, because we're probably the most fickle fans going. But we'd probably hound him out if he didn't win 4 games in a row.
He also gives players a chance. Look when Harry Kane was like 19 or 20. No one I've ever heard of Harry Kane.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure if he went on a bad run and he started getting beat by Southampton and Everton and whoever else, we'd soon say get someone else in.
But I guess if any manager, and I do think a lot of Villa fans are like this, it's not the fact that we're not winning games. It's the manner of the performances, I think, is the main issue for most Villa fans. I can accept us losing. It's a competitive league. Southampton have been a good team in this league. I know we beat them in the last game, but as an example, or Everton have had their moments, Wolves, Palace, Fulham, they're all good. You're not going to win every game. And to be a good team, you need to win more than obviously that you lose. But we're winning games in a terrible manner, and we're not looking like we're going to win any of the other games. So I look at it and think, if we were playing good football at times, if we were, I don't know, like just a bit unlucky in some games, and you could see it was moving forward, and we'd had bigger injury crisis, I'd think, you know what, like poor Gerrard. But I haven't seen any progression in a year. I think we've arguably gone backwards, from where we were before. So I don't know. I think Villa fans would give the right man time. We gave Dean Smith plenty of time when it was going wrong, and it came a point obviously towards the end. But I think a lot of Villa fans were very supportive of Dean Smith, maybe because of the Villa link. If we had the right manager and we could see it going in the right direction, I think Villa fans would, despite being slightly fickle at times, give someone an opportunity.
Hope so. I hope so.
Anyway, what can you say to that?
Predictions for tomorrow.
Wow. I'll go first.
And get in the comments with your predictions as well. People get in with the comments.
Before we go into predictions, let me just make a point, right? Which again, comment on this, please, everyone. What about if we do win it 1-0 and we play shit, or it's a 0-0 draw, or it's a 2-1 win? Like, progression in terms of points. But do you think that will do anything to stem the negativity that's there?
Well, every game's tough, as you just said in the Premier League, Kevin. Every game is tough, and an 8 o'clock kickoff at the City Ground, their fans are going to be bang up for it. Absolutely. So if we were to win 2-1, and it was a solid away performance, or we won 1-0 and it was a solid away performance, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is a good away win. 1-0 away from home is what you want. So it depends on the context of the game. If it was 0-0 and we scored in the last minute and Coutinho bends one in the top corner and we're limbs all over the shop in the away end, you're absolutely buzzing. We did that at Sheffield United a few years ago, and it was the worst game, one of the worst games of football, but it was an amazing moment when Snodgrass bends it in the top corner. So it all depends on the context of the game. If we're winning comfortably 2-0 and then we're hanging on at the end after conceding, then I don't know, is that good or not? I just think you take the points as they come, and if we just have to win the game, and winning breeds confidence, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it does, and I hear your point. By the way, if we win the game, it's 8 points out of 12. It's solidifying. You can build on that. There's positivity, but yeah, I don't know. I'll go. I think it'll be. We're still going to score goals, don't we? I think it'll be 2-1 Villa. I think we'll win 2-1. I think Forest will score, but I think we'll just nick it somehow.
Cool.
Mate.
I'm gonna go. We're like buses, no goals in weeks, and 3 come at once.
Look how confident Martin is, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 3-1.
3-1 Villa.
3-1 Villa. I'm gonna go with. I think
Abraham and McGinn with a couple.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with. Who are we gonna grab? I think Louise will get one from a corner. I'm gonna put that for a banter one. I'm gonna say he's gonna score from a corner. I think Tyrone Mings will get a rare goal, and I hope then Matty Cash on his return.
Oh, okay.
Defenders type of day goals.
Before I give mine, really random reviews is saying 3-0 Villa. That'll be a hell of a win. Martinez quality save to keep clean sheet. Deontay, Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 0. Gary won't be 5-5. No, I don't think it will be. Paul Merson, Villa legend, get in. 1-1, another dire performance. T1, this is a must win and a clean sheet. 2-0 Villa. I'll really random review. I'll take a crap 1-0 just as we need the points, but I want better. I'm getting annoyed at the tactics. Door on tour, odds on 5-5. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Thank you very much. Jay is saying 2-1 Villa. Rachel is saying, I hate to write it, but 2-0 Forest. However, I'll take a crappy win. Aaron, ever the optimist. Forest 2, Villa 1. Then we hire Master Splinter. Even he'd get us up the table. Mark, 3-2 Villa. That'd be a hell of a game, Kev, that we would be witnessing.
Oh, I love that.
Archer has to get a few minutes if we're still 0-0 at 60 minutes. I'm going to say, I'm going to go with what I said. I'm going to go with what I said on Mr. Dawes' channel before. 3-1 Villa. I'm agreeing with you, Kev, Martin. 3-1 Villa. Yeah, I think we'll go.
I thought you were going to go for a classic 2-1.
No. I think we'll go 2-0 up. I'm going to say Watkins, and I'm going to say Coutinho, and then they will get one back, and then we'll score on the break. And I think, do you know what I'm going to say, Archer?
Whoa! He's in my fantasy league on the bench. So
yeah,
if I get injury, can I give you a little status as well, which is like this will be classic Villa. This one, right? As in the link, right? So there's been 10 Premier League meetings of Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. Basically, Forest have won just one of those 10 Premier League meetings. The referee for that victory away in 1994 was Keith Cooper, Steve Cooper's dad.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good one now.
They've beaten us once in the Premier League, and it's their current manager just signed a new contract. Dad was referee that game. So, I mean...
That's a good one now.
That is mad. So I'm going to change my now to 2-0 Forest now. Look, lads, we've got to win this game. I mean, if there's anything that, any opportunity you get in a season to get your season back on track, it's against a team who've been under a lot of pressure. And yeah, we're away from home, but do you know what? We make this point around performances. I hope the Villa players know that they're on TV tomorrow night. Anyone who's watching football, there won't be any football game on. I think that'll, Premier League game certainly. So, it'll be the main event. I'd love to see us put a performance in. I'd love to see us show everyone actually how good we can be and how good McGinn can be. And I'd like to see Matty Cash bombing on and showing Forest why he moved on to better things. I'd like to see Jacob Ramsey going on marauding one and smashing one in. Absolutely, Paul Merson Villa legend. I don't know if the actual Paul Merson Villa legend, but Coutinho, yeah, about time he put in some goals and assists. Absolutely, away from home as well, particularly Coutinho to show what he can do. If you're never ever going to get an opportunity to do something, then surely away at the bottom of the league team is the opportunity.
It's gotta be. Well, good place to finish it, Kev.
I think so, mate.
Yeah, and we'll be at the game tomorrow. Come and say hello if you're at the game as well. Come and say hello to us.
It'd be great.
Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you part of the podcast, mate. If you can get in the comments and wish Martin all the best with his coaching career, and you're more than welcome on the pod anytime you want, mate. But yeah, thanks for all your help on the channel.
No problem, lads. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I can come on when I probably have the time to do it. But for now, I have to going to focus on getting my badges, which is for Park Villa. So it's still Villa. It's nothing.
And you got the top on there. I can see.
It's right here. Park Villa now. So
good man.
It's all looking up for me. So unfortunately, some things just have to come intact.
Good stuff. Well, let's hope for 3 points tomorrow, Kev. And like we say, everyone come and say hello if you're there. Remember, give us a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. The support has been fantastic. I think we could hit that 400 mark tonight. If anyone watching and haven't subscribed, please do. And all that's left to say is let's hope for the 3 points, and let's remember we'll follow the Villa. Night, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.